conservative summit known as CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference, begins in Washington today. There is a growing battle within the Republicans between social conservatives like Governor Huckabee and their belief that the culture wars will cure our economic woes, and those libertarians who say that such solutions are phony and focused on the wrong problems.
That looks to me like diverting themselves from the focus they promised during the election.
You're talking about the Tea Party?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I thought maybe you meant the Democrats. Well, you know, you don't is the issue there. I mean, the Republicans have done this now a couple of times. They did it with the Christian right, took over their party for a while. And then they have to sell out to them, and they wind up selling out to a degree where they lose elections. What I love about the Republicans, because I don't like them to win, is the fact that they have to win in Iowa. The nominee has to. Right. Iowa is a roach motel. I keep saying that. Candidates crawl in, but they do not crawl out. Because what you have to say to win over that crowd in Iowa, the Republican evangelical base in Iowa, it does not play in the general election. And that's what whatever candidate, and you see people, very reasonable people like a Tim Pawlenty, Minnesota. He's a very soft, mild-mannered guy. Remember he said that thing about, you know, we have to take a golf club to the windshield of he compared the deficit to like Tiger Woods, his wife going nuts on his car. They have to say crazy things like that to win in Iowa.
I don't think right-wing social engineering is any more desirable than left-wing social engineering.
Check this out. This is an ad for an appearance at Celebrate the Family, a Celebrate the Family event last year with Mike Huckabee. Watch.
Family is being eroded. We as pastors are largely responsible for the impact made in our congregations as well as in our communities. And it's time for the churches to rise up and recognize their capacity and responsibility to participate in a God-honoring society.
We asked them what should happen to women who would get abortions if abortions were to become illegal.
It shouldn't be legal.
It shouldn't be legal.
No, of course not.
And if it was illegal, should there be a penalty for the women who get abortions illegally?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that one.
Well,
illegal.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
killing.
It should be illegal, did you say?
Yes, because it's killing a human person.
And what should happen to women if they have illegal abortions?
Just pray for them. I don't think they have to spend time in jail or anything.
What should happen to women who have abortions?
I'm sorry?
What should happen to women who have abortions?
I don't have an answer for that.
How long have you been working in this movement?
A couple of years.
And you've never thought about what should happen to the women?
Not really. Not if they should go to jail or not.
Do you think abortion should be legal or illegal?
I think it should be illegal.
And what should happen to women who have illegal abortions?
You know, I never even really thought about that.
What do you think the range of jail time should be?
Not a lawyer, actually. It depends. If she knew she was killing her child, the same punishment that anybody would get for killing anybody else. But if she didn't know...
Do you favor the death penalty?
No, I do not.
In general, not for any crime?
No.
Okay. So maybe life imprisonment for a woman who has an abortion illegally?
Again, you have to take a lot of things into consideration, but that would be a possibility.
Well, sure. I mean, there's all sorts of contractual benefits that anybody can contract for. But the question is whether we should institutionalize that in public policy.
Santorum defends his comparison of gay marriage with, quote, man-on-dog sex. Well, for the record, here's how Rick put it back in 2003, quote, in every society, the definition of marriage has not ever, to my knowledge, included homosexuality. That's not to pick on homosexuality. It's not, you know, man on child, man on dog, or whatever the case may be.
I don't know what you mean by rights.
We have homophobes in our party. That's disgusting to me. We're all human beings. We're all God's children. Now, if they're going to get off in that stuff, Santorum has said some cruel things, cruel things about homosexuals. Ask him about it. See if he attributes the cruelness of his remarks years ago.
unfortunately, folks like Alan Simpson saw that as homophobic. It's not homophobic. It's a legal argument, and it's a correct legal argument. In fact, that's exactly what's happening. We went from Lawrence versus Texas to now a constitutional right to same-sex marriage, and they're going into a constitutional right to polyamorous relationships. This is the slippery slope that we're heading down.
Polyamorous relationships.
I saw the white-only signs driving through the South in college. Of course they did it. You remember them doing it.
Yeah,
the guy who owns a bar says no blacks allowed. You say that's fine.
But I also know that the Jim Crow laws were illegal, and we got rid of them under that same law, and that's all
right,
good.
Well, you would have voted against that law.
Pardon me?
You would have voted against that law. You wouldn't have voted for the 64 Civil Rights Bill.
I wouldn't vote against getting rid of the Jim Crow laws. Because of the property rights element, not because he got rid of the Jim. No, Chris, you're demagoguing it now.
No,
you know
I'm asking
that
a
isn't what I'm
question.
saying.
What is the answer? What's your answer?
You know, segregation was created by government laws. Slavery was created by government laws. Segregation, let me go. The segregation in the military by government laws. So what we want to do as libertarians is repeal all those laws and honor and respect people with freedom of choice. But for you to imply that a property rights person is endorsing that stuff, you don't understand that there would be zero signs up today saying something like that, and if they did, they would be an idiot and they would be out of business. So I think you're just getting overboard in order to try to turn it around and try to accuse somebody being a racist.
I'm not calling anybody racist. I'm saying the laws are racist.
Implying. That's what you're.
But you would have voted for the. Oh, come on. Honestly, Congressman, you were not for the 64 Civil Rights Bill.
In less unexpected news from the campaign trail today, Jon Huntsman went to New Hampshire. The former Republican governor of Utah, also President Obama's former ambassador to China. He's spending today and at least a part of the weekend in the Granite State, in New Hampshire, not in Iowa. It is possible to make too much of the New Hampshire, not Iowa decision at this point. Maybe Jon Huntsman will end up spending tons of time in Iowa between now and the presidential caucus in February. But at least for right now, he is leaving Iowa to Newt Gingrich and Rick Santorum and Michelle Bachmann and the rest of them. If Jon Huntsman is avoiding Iowa, we may end up looking to his politics to explain why. Mr. Huntsman, in his maiden presidential campaign TV interview today, telling ABC, quote, "In the case of civil unions, I think it's a fairness issue. I believe in traditional marriage, but I think we probably can do a better job when it comes to fairness and equality." Now, in the big picture, this is not really Jon Huntsman climbing out on a limb, not with the latest Gallup poll showing a majority of Americans favoring full-on gay marriage, the real deal, not just the second-class citizenship idea of civil unions. But in the Iowa Republican caucuses, what he just said is pretty much out on a limb. Saying yay civil unions in the Iowa Republican caucuses, that might as well make Jon Huntsman Dennis Kucinich in a rainbow flag jumpsuit asking for people's vote and that they buy the new Lady Gaga CD because it's fabulous. When it comes to electing a president, Iowa as a state cherishes its first-in-the-nation role. But in recent years, Iowa Republican caucuses have been so hijacked by single-issue anti-gay politics and religious fundamentalists that Iowa is sort of becoming an irrelevant sideshow in the presidential race rather than being a bellwether. The old Jon Huntsman, for example, favored a cap-and-trade energy policy. The new Jon Huntsman says cap-and-trade would be bad for the economy. People who knew the old Utah Governor Jon Huntsman say he wanted state health reform with an individual mandate. The new Jon Huntsman denies that and says he would repeal national health reform. The old Governor Huntsman said the federal stimulus should have been bigger, and he happily spent what stimulus money there was in his state. The new Jon Huntsman says the stimulus should have just been tax cuts. What's with all this spending anyway?
There are things you can do to improve Medicare.
But not what Paul Ryan is suggesting, which is completely changing Medicare.
I think that is too big a jump.
The Mama Grizzly.
There's got to be the preparation on all the candidates' parts for those gotchas. That's what the lamestream media is known for nowadays, is the gotcha trip-up questions, and just have to be prepared for it and overcome it. Don't even participate in that goofy game that's been played now for too many years with the leftist lamestream media trying to twist a candidate's words.
That's classic Palin. Blame the media for quoting someone accurately. You know, they keep calling it the lamestream media. First of all, who says that? What are you, a third grader? That's the lamestream media.
My wife, Callista, has known him since he was an intern. I mean, we're big fans of Paul Ryan. It was not a reference to Paul Ryan. There was no reference to Paul Ryan in that answer.
Really? You were answering a question about Paul Ryan, but not referring to Paul Ryan? Come on, that's just pathetic. First there was the flip-flopping, then the groveling, and now the latest strategy is, of course, just to deny reality. That's Republican 101.
Oppose gay marriage. I do. You oppose civil unions. You want to reinstate don't ask, don't tell. Do you think gays have any rights, should have any access to benefits as partners?
Well, it depends what you mean by rights. I don't know what you mean by rights.
I love every one of these, man. That's why I enjoy the show. It's like, rights? What are we talking about, rights? We're talking about practice? Practice? What do you mean rights? I let them live, don't I? Am I not merciful? I mean, they get to breathe. I hear they can even drink and eat. What more you want from? Oh, they're married? Oh, of course, they're gay. Of course they're not allowed to get married. Don't be ridiculous. Oh, you mean rights like all straight people? Well, of course not. No. But they do get to exist. Come on. Can Rick Santorum get any more merciful than that? Well, I love Santorum being in the race, not because of goofy stuff like this. Just I love that he has less than a 0% chance. And he thinks, in his mind, like he goes to bed every night thinking, oh, I'm going to be president.
We took one of the longest transit strikes in the history of the country. So the federal government should do the same. Now, here's a few things to get started that I hope you'll agree with. I'll give them to you and see what you think. We should not raise the debt ceiling. We had the first government shutdown in my state in the 150-year history of my state.